Hello everyone, how are you? So today we have Shashank with us from France. Shashank, how are you?
I'm really great, ma'am. How about you?
Fine, fine. Okay, Shashank, tell us something about yourself.
Okay, so currently I'm a student at Schema Business School under the course of the French people call it Programme Grande École, but in India हम लोग बोलते हैं Masters in Management. And apart from that, एक और course के लिए अभी मैंने apply किया है, which is a MSc in Financial Markets and Investment Banking. So currently I'm a student in this. Apart from that, I've done computer engineering from Ma'am was teaching. She was one of my professors. And yeah, I'm a hobbyist photographer here. And I do a couple of projects with companies here.
Okay. And
yeah.
When you came to France, and in which city you are in?
Currently, I am in the south of France, but when I landed in France, I was in Paris for a year. And it has been a year I was in Paris, and right now I'm in south of France, but I'll be going back to Paris for my second year.
Right. And when you came there?
I started my course in January of 21. So
Okay.
last year, January.
Okay, and what you are studying there, that is pretty much clear. Can you just talk about what is the duration of your course which you are just pursuing there?
Okay, so here it's not like how it works in India. It's a little different. So you have a lot more flexibility when it comes to your course. So how my course works is in the first year you have it's a 1 year course. It's called M1. So after M1 you have a option of if you want to do a internship, so that if I'm doing, for example, finance. Now I've taken theory in finance, but I don't know if it's
Right.
that's where I want to work.
Mm-hmm.
So what you can do is you can take an optional year or 6 months off.
Mm-hmm.
You can go do an internship in finance. So you'll understand, okay, this is working for me, is this not working for me?
Mm-hmm.
Once you're done with that, then you can come back for a year and do your specialization. So right now I'm in my break year.
Okay.
And in September, I'll go back and I'll start my second year.
That's
so
great.
it takes around 2 years if you don't want to do an internship, but it can go up to 3 years if you're doing an internship.
Okay, and they call it internship only? Word is the same, internship? They call it?
Yeah, work experience.
Okay.
It's the same. You can call it work experience.
Okay. Okay. And to start with, I would like to ask you, what are the benefits that you see for studying abroad? Especially in France. Let us take this country as you are in.
Okay. So the benefits of working abroad or studying abroad, for starters, is one, there's a lot more flexibility, which I just mentioned. That gives you an idea of how it works. So for example, I can only compare it with what I did in India. So in India, I got a lot of theory in my field, that was computer engineering, but there was no professional experience. So I didn't honestly know how it works till you actually go there and you find out that maybe this is not exactly what I thought it would be. But here you get a lot more flexibility, and this is I can say it is more in touch with the industry that you want to get into, and it's not just solely theory. And the exams or all of these things, they are centered around your merit as a student, as in your understanding or your knowledge. Mm-hmm. And not exactly how you write an answer. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's on those points. Mm-hmm. Apart from that, the biggest reason would be when you get out of India, you will realize that we used to think that, okay, these are the things, how it works in India, and that is the world and how it works. Mm-hmm. When you come out, you realize India is a very small part of how things work. Mm-hmm. And outside of India, it's a completely different world. Mm-hmm. So right. that would be a biggest contributor.
Right. Exactly. So now that you are in France, right? I should say bonjour to you, right? So how the language plays important role, especially in a country where French is dominating. I can say that, right? So how that language plays very important role, and how you can manage, and how you have learned something on that, you can say.
Okay, so for any students who are planning to come to France, or I don't know what they are being told in India by any counselors or anything, but I would say do not underestimate French. This is, if anyone has to take anything out of this, is do not think that you will not do French and come here. This is a country, it's like, for example, in Maharashtra, if you don't speak Marathi, and not getting a lot of things done. So it is like the language here. English is useful in a lot of companies. For example, English is spoken and it is the primary work language, but that does not mean they will hire you because you can speak English. They want you to speak French like a French person. You cannot be perfect. You don't have to be fluent. You don't have to write a book in French, but you need to be speaking like we are speaking in English right now. That's exactly how they expect you to do it.
Skills, basic communication skills are
basic
must,
communications.
Right? Right.
So like you should be able to go with your colleague and have a coffee and talk in French. So that's the least they would expect.
Yeah. So any exam that you gave for learning this French, or have you get trained?
Yes. So when I was in India, I did 2 levels of French. So there are 6 total levels. So I did 2 when I was in India, but I didn't practice much at that point. But my plan was to, when I come here, I will do everything I can to keep learning. So I have French roommates. So I used to talk to my French roommates every morning, just sit and for 5 to 10 minutes. How was your day? What are your plans for the day? When they come back in the evening, talk to them again. The same thing, listen to French songs, read the French newspapers. So that will give you a good idea.
Right. So is there any other competitive exam also apart from French? Any other competitive exam? Just like in US, if you go, you have to give GRE. For language, you have to give TOEFL. For other countries, there is Ielts, right? So any other kind of exam that you gave?
I did not give any exams of French. They don't require it. It's just that you should be able to speak. That's it. But my college, for example, is the primary language they teach is in English. So they need Ielts, and that's across Europe. You need Ielts. TOEFL is primarily for the US, is what I've heard. So in Europe, you want Ielts, and apart from that, I gave a GRE. My college accepts GMAT and GRE, and that's across all of Europe, Spain, UK. That if you're going for a business school, either a GMAT or a GRE.
Okay, and what is the cutoff score if I may ask, for students?
There's no cutoff score as such. I know people who have not even given the GRE and they've still been accepted in the college. But again, the better you score, the better. But I would ideally say anyone who wants to get into a good business school, 310 to 315 is a good minimum level that you need. And apart from that, if you get any higher in a GRE, that's better.
Good. And for Ielts, how much band is required?
I would say above 6.5. So 7 to 9 is the sweet spot. Anything below that is not really acceptable.
And any requirements for your bachelor's score? Bachelor's percentile or CGPA?
Particular as such, but in France, they are not very concerned about your scores. For example, how Germany, as you will interview other students in Germany, you'll understand that they want really good scores in Germany because the education is almost free. But here, France, they don't care much about your academic scores in your bachelor's as much as how you do in an interview. Am I impressive enough? Am I, do I have other things in my skill set? Not just scores, but they want good scores. It's not that they don't care at all.
Okay. And
but they're much more lenient.
Yeah. So as you said, you have given French exams, so you have cleared A1 and A2.
Yeah.
So A2
I just completed those levels. I did not give the exam for that. I have an exam, but how you can do is you can either give an exam after each level, or you can give all of them once you finish it. So
so it's not compulsory, right? That is what I understand.
Not compulsory.
Okay. And having said that, how you can choose, or how you have chosen your college or university?
Okay, so how I came to that was after I finished my engineering, I did not choose the country first, but rather the course. So after I did that, I did not want to work immediately because how I can say, the size of companies and the opportunities that I would be getting after engineering was not something I was looking forward to. And so I decided I wanted to do my master's, but I did not know in what. So I decided I wanted to do something called a master's in management, which is not like an MBA, which people think it is. MBAs are much more specialized, but master's in management, what it does is you can do everything in management. So I've done marketing, I've done HR, finance, all of it, supply chain. And once you've done that, you get an idea, okay, marketing is not for me. HR is not for me. Maybe finance works for me. So that's how I've gotten into that. And now I'm going to specialize in finance.
Right. That's good. That's good.
So,
and yeah.
Yeah, sorry, just to complete your, complete the answer. So once I decided, okay, this is the degree that I want to do. It's called the Programme Grande École. If you look at all the good colleges or the tier 1 or tier 2 colleges, they mostly are in Europe. This is mostly a European degree. And in US, they don't know what the MIM is. They only have MBAs.
Okay.
So once that was decided, I knew it was Europe. And in Europe, then you have to look. So after Brexit was a big deal. So work opportunity wise I had to decide, do I want to go to UK and not study a different language? Or do I want to go to Europe and Europe is much bigger than the UK.
Yes.
But then I'll have to study a language.
New language.
I had to decide between that.
So you landed up with French.
Yeah.
Right.
Good, because all the top 6 Programme Grande Écoles are in France. So France would be the ideal country for me if I wanted to do a master's in management.
Right. So after you selected your university or college, you have to manage your fees. Like that is your main finance, right? So how you managed it? Did you take loan or you self-financed, or how it works generally for students?
Okay, so in my case, I've secured a education loan, and I'm going to be only sourcing my education out of the education loan.
Right, exactly. Okay, and after landing there, now the process is done and everything is done. So after landing there, what was your first impression about the country or the city where you landed? Was it as per the expectation, or the reality check was different?
It was beyond expectations. I mean, for me as a person, I did not fixate, okay, this is how it's going to be. I was just looking forward to something different, something new. And when you land it just feels different. First of all, Europe, since I've never traveled out of India, at that point, I was not used to this. It kind of looked like, it will sound cliche, but it looked like a scene out of a series I was watching at that point. I was like, this is different. But now I have grown used to it, and this just looks normal to me. But for anyone who's just starting out, it looks like a scene out of a movie.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And what was your first shock?
Shock, as in it was a surprise. I would not say call it a shock, but like a pleasant surprise. So when you go out here, the respect that people across all professions get. So, for example, if someone is an engineer in India, they get a lot more respect than, for example, someone who cleans the streets. But that changes significantly here. You might be a CEO, or you might be someone who cleans out the windows out of a building. They get the same respect, and they're treated more or less in the same way, which was a really nice thing.
Really good.
Greeting people is taken in a good way. For example, you can say hello to a stranger on the street and it just feels fine. It's not something that is weird. In India, if you say hi to a stranger on the street, it is taken as, what does this person want? What is happening here? But it's different here.
Right, exactly, true. And one thing that you feel that you should have known before landing over here.
If I have to, I would say, although my French as of now is really good and I'm doing good at it, but I would say I should have taken it more seriously. Although I'm not complaining at what point I am right now. It's really good. I speak to my French friends in French, but I would say there is no limit on how much you can prepare on that. If I had known how would it be right now, looking back, I would have prepared a lot more. and then I would be in a better position. I mean, there is no loss on learning the language.
Learning, right? True, and that is never late, right? You can learn at any age, right?
Yeah.
Definitely, and language is beautiful. French language is beautiful.
And once you get into any language, it is really significant. And I mean, it depends on person to person. I like to learn the language because I want to learn the language, not because I want a job. I am doing it for the love of my curiosity. I am trying to learn Italian right now. I'm traveling to Italy in a few days. So just so that I can have a good conversation with a shopkeeper or someone, I'm trying to learn a few words here and there. So it all comes down to you.
That's good. That's good. So now let's talk about your studies there. So how that learning is different compared to India, apart from what you already said, like how it is different?
Different in the sense, if I have to not repeat any of the points I've said before, it's easy, to be honest. I wouldn't, but I can only give the answer because I've only completed 1 year. And generally, the first year is supposed to be easy, and the second year is a little more difficult. But as an Indian student who has done engineering, it has been more grueling. I have done, it has been more difficult doing engineering and 11, 12 than here, because French people are used to a little more relaxed way, as in their career is not their first priority. Right. Living a good life is their first priority. So they will teach you in a very good way that, it's not that quality of education is bad. It's just very easy for Indians. And for the rest of Americans or Europeans, it is the same. I mean, they feel that it is good. I mean, they don't complain that it's too easy. But Indians would feel like it is a little more easy. Right. But apart from that, the type of courses that they teach you here are way different than what we have been taught in India or how it works. So this is a little more updated, I can say. I don't know if it's the right word, but updated would be a better thing. So they teach you CSR, so that's corporate social responsibility, or something that is, relevant right now. Right. Because I remember when I started engineering, as you can remember, we've been taught in C, which is, again, I would argue it is important, but that's not what is more important today. So these things, they try to update these things a lot. And you can score really bad in the exam, but they will still give you a good grade because they can see what you're up to and how you how you have been preparing for it. So for an example, I had a French exam in my college, and so it was like an interview, but in French, and that was the exam. So I used a lot of informal French because my French, the way I'm learning my French is talking to people on the streets or talking to people who are, in an informal setting. So accidentally, I used a lot of informal words which are not used in a formal conversation. But I was not using a script. So you can go and do the interview with a script, but I chose not to do it because I was confident enough that I can handle the conversation. So the teacher saw that he's stammering a lot, he's missing out words, he's making mistakes, but she saw that I'm not using a script, which is a good thing. So she ended up giving a good score, which is a good thing. I would say that she understands what I was doing.
That's good. That's good. That's good. So how teachers and students in the sense local students there are different. Did you feel any kind of groupism or racism or differentiation?
Overall, no. French people in India, it's been said that French people are really rude, and this is what you will hear everywhere, that French people are rude, which is not true at all. It's just that they are they love their own language very much, and so if you try to speak to them in a different language, they would be like someone who is, for example, in Gujarat or in
South India,
Maharashtra. If it's like, if an old uncle or auntie who don't speak English, if you try to speak to them in English, they'll give you a similar response. So they have that, but once you even try to speak a little more French, they will come and will correct your mistakes if you want to be corrected. And they're the most happiest people I've met here. They're really nice people.
Local students.
There's a few here and there. I mean, that's how it is everywhere. So no, I wouldn't say everyone is good, but yeah, I wouldn't say there's anything bad about the culture.
Right, right, right. And how about the study material you get there? Is it everything online or offline also? You get books, library access, and what other things are there?
So in case of my college and how I started, January when I came, it was the time of second COVID wave. So I had my first semester in the lockdown. So most things were online. But after that, my second semester was offline. So it was pretty much offline. But the study material is mostly presentations and PPTs and excerpts from books or
Mhm.
from articles. So everything is online in a sense.
Mhm.
It's on a it's digital. Everything is digital.
Okay.
No physical books as such. You don't have to carry any. If you just carry a laptop to your college, that's more than enough.
Okay. And
Apart
how?
from that, my college gives us a free access to all databases. So
Okay.
everything that you need to write articles or plagiarism checking, which needs premium access,
Right.
all of that is free. If you want to
Mhm.
check financials for companies, that is
Mhm.
generally you have to pay for all of that,
Mhm.
but that is free.
Mhm.
Access to most of the Financial Times, for example, is
Mhm.
a prominent newsletter that like students in finance need, but that's
Mhm.
also paid. But my college gives it for free, so anyone who's accessing that through my college gets it for free. And they have a big library, and it's free for students.
Right, right, right. And how about exams? Are exams to be written like subjective exams? Are there only objectives, only interviews? What is the exam pattern actually?
There's no fixed pattern. It all depends on the subject teacher. So the subject teacher gets their own way to decide. I mean, if they want to
Okay.
take it in presentations, or how do they want to distribute the weightage. So in certain cases where the presentation is more important, you have presentations across the whole semester, and each of them has like 5% weightage or 10% weightage of the final grade. And in the end, they'll take like a MCQ based exam. But again, the weightage depends, but it's very much free. But majority, I can say, they are MCQs.
Okay.
Very few written exams as such,
Okay. And
because
three
also
hours
they're hard
exam,
to evaluate.
just like we have in India, 3 hours exam pattern. That pattern is also there.
1 hour at the most.
1 hour. Okay.
No 3 hour exams, and not really written at all, because it's more difficult to evaluate. Considering people from all backgrounds come here, and the way they write, their English might not be perfect, or there are more
True.
problems. So they have MCQs, and they're more than enough.
True, true, true. And while studying, how do you network? Because we believe that networking is very important, right? Because nowadays, or
Yeah.
in future now, nobody will look at your grade and they'll hire you. Now it's more
Yeah.
about networking. So how you can network while studying?
Um, what I would say is, it's very natural. For example, my college has they put you in touch with all the alumni of my college. You can do that. You can do that via LinkedIn, but also just when I was working here in the summer, I was working at a place, and just by normal conversation, now these people are in my network, and I can just, if I need a job, I can just drop them a text that, hi, hello, this is it,
Mm-hmm.
and are you looking for someone? I'm willing to be working right now. And
Mm-hmm.
it works. All the interviews for internships that I've given, uh, I make sure that in the interview we have a personal connection in
Mm-hmm.
sorts.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it how it works for other people, but I just make sure that even if I'm not going to be working with a company. I just make sure that I have a friendly rapport with the person that I'm having the interview with. So
Exactly.
even even now, when a friend of mine was looking for an internship, I texted all of them who I rejected in an interview. I told them, sorry, I can't work with you because I found a better offer. They told me,
Mm-hmm.
thank you for your honesty. It's really appreciated. And when I needed someone to be working, I just emailed all of them that hi, do you have a place here? And they happily replied. So I think having a personal touch, because I mean, this is, you cannot be all professional, but if you can't tolerate a person, then what's the point?
Yeah, true, true.
So having like a personal connection helps.
Right. And how is the placement support, or we can say job opportunities, how university helps and how student can find?
Okay. So here there's a big difference compared to India. For example, how in Thakur we used to have a placement round where companies used to come to the college and they could hire students. But here that's not how it works. Your college will not bring companies in so that they can hire people from your college. That is not how it works. You have to go out yourself and you have to look for opportunities. Your college's reputation will help you for sure. If you come from a certain college, you'll get hired, but you get access to your alumni. So anyone who's working in the similar companies that you want to work with, just contacting those alumni will help you. But apart from that, there are exclusive. We have a online job portal that is only for my campus, and only companies that exclusively hire from my college can talk to
Right.
us. Or for example, you get a special HR person that only hires and manages people from my college. So it's things like that. So my college has a tie with KPMG. So KPMG has a person who is who will handle exclusively from
Right.
schema. So it's fast tracked. It's you don't have to wait for 2 months. They'll do it in 2 weeks, something like that. But they're not going to come to the college and hire you, but they'll help you out.
Right. Okay. And what about part-time jobs? Now that you are studying, for students who are studying, for international students especially, part-time jobs are very much important. So, what are the types of jobs that are available, and how is the payment? And is that payment enough to survive? या फिर हमें घर से we need to ask for more money to survive there?
Yeah.
So, yes.
Part-time jobs again. I would say it depends on how good you speak French. So, for example, if you don't speak any French at all, you will get but getting a part-time job is easy if you go out looking for them. So at a restaurant, for example, you can work in the kitchen because that won't require you speak a lot of French, but you'll need like a little French. But if you can speak French or you can speak English well and you have good presentation skills and manners, you can get a lot of jobs. For example, in summer when I was trying to look for a job, I started working with a company that wanted me to give guide tours across Paris. So I was working as a tour guide in Paris. So that helps. There are a lot of opportunities, but you should be willing to be learn the language and and you have to manage your time in between.
So language
Your course
plays very
and
important role over here.
in Europe, I would say language plays a very big role. So
True.
if you're coming to Europe, do not underestimate the language.
Right. And how about payment? Like, is it enough to survive for students?
I would say yes. They pay you hourly, so you get the minimum wage here is 11 euros per hour. With taxes, it comes down to 9 euros per hour. And if you work for let's say 100 hours in a month, you'd be getting around 900 euros, which is a good amount to be surviving in Paris, which is one of the most expensive cities in the world.
But
Even
you are
then,
allowed to
that
work
would
how many hours in a week
yes.
or in a month?
As a whole, per week, for part time, if you are also in the university, you can get 20 hours per week to work.
Okay.
But if you're not, like for example, right now I'm not in a semester, I'm not studying right now, I can do a full-time job. That's not a problem.
Okay.
So in a month you can do around 80 hours, and that depends on how you want to work, and you can schedule it around your classes. So for example, I don't have any classes on Tuesday. I can schedule all of my hours on Tuesday and Saturday, Sunday, or I can do 2 hours every day. That depends on your employer and you.
So college is not for like daily. College hours are not daily. You don't have to go college daily. So what kind of schedule you have? Like weekly, 2 days, 3 days?
Schedule depends. They'll make it online for the whole semester, and you have your schedule online. So it's not compulsory that Monday you'll have this class always. It can vary. If they want to take it on Monday, it will be on your schedule, which is online, and you get it beforehand. So sometimes I have classes on Monday from 10 a.m. to let's say 5 p.m. but there's nothing on Tuesday. On Thursday, you might have 2 more classes. On Friday, you have 2 classes. But it's more or less like that. It's not how it used to be in India, that this is the schedule and that's how it is every week. It changes.
Right. And how we manage, or how students manage household chores like cooking, laundry, grocery. Is it difficult?
I wouldn't call it difficult, but it again depends from person to person. So for me personally, no, I don't find it difficult. You get a hang of it. I mean, the first month you struggle, you left your clothes in the washing machine, you forgot them, or you forgot to eat or something like that, but you get used to it. It gets easier.
Right. And how to deal with the homesickness?
I don't think I can answer that question. As a whole, I'm not someone who's very attached to places or anything. But yeah, I mean, forming a community, for example. Here I have a really good community of friends from Maharashtra. So every festival that you celebrate, they all have like a gathering of sorts. So you can having a touch with your community also helps.
Right. And how is the medical system for students? If some emergency is there, some student will, by God forbid, and if some accident or something happens, then how the medical is taken care of, and how that insurance helps, and what are things are included in the insurance?
Okay, so unlike the US, here we don't have to actually pay for insurance. It is included in your annual fees of for my college. It is included in my college. I don't have to pay anything differently. And for that, you get like a social security card, which is once you, if you have to visit the doctor, you can give them that card. They'll scan it, and if you have to pay, for example, 100 euros. So again, depending on what type of sickness it is, if it's just a common cold or something, you get 70% of the money returned. So you'll get it through your card back to your bank account. So you have to pay it first, but then you get the money back.
Okay.
But that's how it is. You don't have to pay for insurance. In Europe, that's a good thing that socialism, it's a different thing altogether. So you don't have crazy medical expenses.
Right. And if some emergency is there, definitely a student can directly go to hospital or some physician, right? There is no need for appointment, and they'll not assist you. It's not like that.
No, I've never seen that happen.
No, right? Okay. And yes, and getting involved in the culture and with locals, definitely the most important thing is language, as you rightly said, right? Apart from language, what things will help you to get involved in their culture and with locals?
I would again not trying to repeat the first point, but on a different note, culture is very important to the Europeans. It's they choose their own culture over how they work or how they do their vacations. So here, for example, on the weekends, like work is not taken that seriously as in general. For example, how it works in India, how sometimes you have to reply to an email on Sunday or a Saturday. That's considered normal. Here it's not. It's not appreciated that you work on weekends or on day offs. That's culture, to be honest. That is how the culture is. And after 5, then no one is going to be working. They'll go out. They'll have a drink with their friends, or they'll catch up with someone. It's called a soirée in French. So a soirée is like a very French thing where people gather out in gardens or picnics or in restaurants, and they'll just have a friendly drink. And that's also how it works in the offices. So you can go out with your colleagues for a soirée. So that will get you a promotion faster than working hard. So working hard is not something that France as in general does. Work life is more relaxed. You have a lot of vacations. Yeah. I mean, it is good in the sense when you're an employee, but when you're the client, it's not good, because sometimes you go to the bank and the bank is not working on Monday. They just take a day off on Monday. So sometimes that's a problem when you're a client, but as an employee, it's a good thing. But yeah, culture is very important. How do I put it? You can go on picnics. So once you get involved with local French people, they teach you certain things of how how it works in France. And you don't have to do anything in specific, but just be open. For example, there are certain things that work in India and how it works in India. But if you come here and you start acting like an Indian, that will not be very much appreciated. When you're in France, act like the French do. Yeah. When in Rome, act like Romans. So it's good to be flexible, and you should be willing to like open up and learn how it works.
Right, exactly. And now today, in today's time, if you want to suggest upcoming students who are going to come to France, like things you must carry from India, what you would suggest them?
Masale. I would say masalas, because I mean, you get them more or less. There are Indian stores everywhere, but these are the small things which I in India I wouldn't be very attached to the Indian cuisine because I used to eat it every day. I didn't realize, okay, this is important. But when you come here, the spice tolerance for French people is very different. So things like these. So Indian food, or if you get homesick, you want to drink chai or something like that. So you carry all of these things, and that should be helpful.
Right. And one thing you want to say to students, like if you are a student in France, you must remember dash thing. What's that? What you have to remember?
When I was giving my interview for the college that I was here, an alumni from my college then interviewed me. He told me after the interview was done, he told me, just remember, when you're going to France, be very open. And that didn't make much sense at that point. But I would say, yes, being open is a very key aspect in Europe. You should be willing to absorb the culture more than the knowledge that you get in a business school. That is cool. That is important. But also, as a whole, the whole way of life is something, be willing to learn that. And if you don't appreciate something like this, for example, I know a lot of people who don't appreciate that. Like, I'm vegetarian. I'm going to be, I mean, for right reasons. I don't question that, but they'll stick to their own ways.
Exactly.
That they'll have certain difficulties here.
Then they'll have limitations, right? If you are not open, if you are not accepting the change, then you will have limitations, right?
Exactly.
Growth can be limited.
Very limited. And I've said this multiple times, but if you have to take something out of this, be willing to learn the language and like it, not just to do it. But if you like doing it, come to France, and this is one of the best places you can be. I have absolutely zero complaints about the country in general. There was one thing that I wanted to highlight that I recently realized when speaking to a friend in the US is here you have more chances to be open. Open in the sense, when I came here, I didn't know exactly which field I wanted to go, but now I do. So my visa is not an issue here. In Europe, at least in France, how it works is, if I want to change my fields and so my company is willing to sponsor my visa, it's not illegal to do that. I can work outside of my campus. I can work anywhere. And as long as they're, sponsoring my visa, or I am on a student visa, that is fine. But how it works in the US is you can't work outside the campus. That is illegal. That is not allowed. Apart from that, if you're a computer science student, you cannot work in finance. I mean, that visa will not work if you're working in finance after graduating from a CS background. So how it works in the US, at least I know, is if you are sure that you want to go into CS, that's the best place. You'll get a very good career growth there. But if you're not sure, what you want to do, I feel this is a really good place for me. Recently, I was on my summertime off. I wanted to do a bartending course. And you can work as a bartender here during summers because there's a lot of tourists and it pays well. So, and for example, if I decide to complete, I don't want to work in finance anymore. I want to go into bartending. That is appreciated. That is not a problem legally.
The flexibility is there. Right.
There's a lot more flexibility visa-wise.
Right. And if you can just throw a light on what will be the opportunity after studying, like right now you are studying, then after that, for how many years you can work? If I talk about your work permit, how many years of work permit you'll have?
So once you graduate from your college, you get 2 years of job search visa on which you can search for jobs and you can apply. But apart from that, the renewal of residence permit is very subjective. So that depends on how they look at your file, and if they feel they're confident enough. I recently renewed my residence permit for the student status, and I got a 2-year extension. Some people get 1 year, and after 1 year they have to renew again. I got a 2 year. So how it works is first you get 1 year, then 2 years, then 4 years, then 7 years. So it goes on.
Right.
I mean,
yeah. Right. So, and is there any concept of like PR also, like in Australia, New Zealand, in Canada, in UK? This word is there, PR, that is permanent residency. Is there that thing is also there?
Yes. So for anyone who takes their higher education in France, this is what I've heard, and like I've read it a few places, but I'm not completely aware of the whole situation. But if you take your higher education in France, you have to work for 22 months in France, and after that you're eligible to apply for the citizenship, not just PR. But PR you'll get when you're doing a job, but you can even apply for citizenship if you understand the culture, and you'll have a few tests on how well do you know the culture, or how well do you know the language, but you can apply for the citizenship directly. So it takes only 22 months after your higher education.
Not a big deal.
But normally if you come to France, not for education, then it takes 5 years. So in 5 years of working in France, you can apply for citizenship.
That's good. And the last thing, your last suggestion, or any suggestion you would like to give to upcoming students?
I would say don't choose your country first. Choose your course first. See what you want to do. And I see a lot of, I've seen many people running to the US. No complaints that I'm not saying don't do that or do this or do anything. Do what you want to do, but just make sure that this is the right choice, or this is where you want to go, because this is an irreversible change. You can't just say, okay, I'm bored, I want to go back to India. That will cost you a lot of money. So be very careful on what you're doing, and don't do it because someone else did it, or don't do it because that is the cool thing to do these days. I remember when I was in college, I was probably the first or second person to even think about going to France for their higher education. And we had most people going to the US, but just have a look. Since then, I guess there have been a lot of people who are planning to go to France. But yeah, now the world is a big place.
Yeah, so now we see students going to Ireland also, Netherlands also.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that is what you have to be open for the culture and language, and you have to be ready for the struggle.
Yeah.
You just see the greener picture and then you jump there. That's not it should be. You have to be ready. Right.
If you look at our Instagram, or you can look at anyone else who lives outside of India, you'll see, oh, this is a really cool thing, but there are very difficult things you have to do. It's like a full-time job as an immigrant to just manage your life as an immigrant. In India, you don't have to do anything, worry about that.
Right.
But it's a full-time job.
Life is fairy on social media, but reality is something else. It's different.
Yeah. It's difficult, but it's very fun.
Right. So if you take it like that, if you keep on cribbing, or if you keep on comparing it with your country, that is India, or any other country you're coming from, then you will never settle anywhere, right? So yes, rightly said, you have to be open for the acceptance, right? Acceptance. If you accept that culture, that country, the people, then definitely there won't be any problem for you.
Right? You'll be more happy, to be honest.
Right. So thank you so much, Shashank. Thank you.
Not a problem. I'm always a pleasure.
Thank you for giving all the information. This will really helpful to our students. So
I hope so. And anyone who's willing to can drop me a message on LinkedIn, or however they find helpful, and I'll be happy to help them out.
Yeah, so I can put your LinkedIn link in my description of this video.
Yeah,
right. So you can connect to Shashank directly. So if you like the video, kindly subscribe the channel. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.